Welcome to the Friday Habit with Mark Labriola and Benjamin Manley. The Friday Habit is for small business owners, freelancers, and creatives who are ready to take their business to the next level. Join us as we discover how to apply the strategies we learned to grow our businesses, make more money, and live every day like it's Friday.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Friday Habit. Today we have two amazing guests from the Perk, a leadership and culture development company. Steph Richter and Emily Edeman are leadership coaches and company culture consultants, and I have personally actually hired them at Knapsack to help us with developing our culture. Steph and Emily, welcome to the show, and did I say your names correctly?
You said mine right.
Okay, cool.
Mine ain't right, but that's all right. I'm getting married at the end of the month, so I don't have to correct people anymore.
What's your new name going to be?
Edelman, is that right?
Edelman, actually.
Edelman, okay. All right.
Yeah, the football player really did one over on us.
Yeah.
My new last name will be Smith, S-M-I-T.
Okay, nice. All right.
Awesome.
All right, I got a question for you guys just to kind of break the ice here. Now, would you rather be the absolute best at something that no one takes seriously, like a unicyclist, sword swallower, or be average at something well-respected?
Ooh.
It's tough, right? It's like, could you be an average doctor or an amazing...
Most doctors are average, probably, right?
Right?
Unfortunately.
I'm going to hop in and say the best at something random, because one of my least favorite questions is like, tell me something interesting about yourself. So I would just love to whip out, like, I am the world's best unicyclist whenever somebody asks me that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Okay.
good one, Emily. I also kind of think the best at something random, just because I'm like really competitive. And so I don't want to be like, I don't know, if I ever am like, am I average or I'm the best? I'm like, no, I need to be the best. So even if it's something random, like I want to be the best at whatever that random thing is.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, I'm an average pilot.
Yeah.
You know. It's like, okay, great. Well, cool. Well, awesome. Welcome to the Friday Habit. You know, I'm curious I'd love to hear a little bit about each one of you guys, about how you got into what you do, and just some of your guys' background.
Yeah, I can go first. So how did I get into what I do? It was definitely not a traditional path by any means. I'm not like, I didn't go to college for leadership development or culture or HR. I actually went to school for like Spanish and journalism, and then just kind of landed a job in real estate after college, ended up being in commercial real estate. And then that's where I actually met our founder and boss, Leah, and learned more about company culture through a nonprofit that she started called Culture Community. They would bring in guests and they would speak about culture. And I was like, oh, that's what that is. Like, that's why I haven't enjoyed some of the places I didn't work, because like the culture didn't align for me there. I didn't have that language then. It was just like, I didn't feel great about working there, or something felt off. And so I was just really intrigued by company culture. I'd never learned about it before. They don't really teach you about it in school. So I was really intrigued by it. And I just honestly started like picking Leah's brain. She actually started coaching me because she was doing life and leadership coaching training. And so I was her guinea pig client. So I was the very first person that she coached. And we always joke that it was like a 9-month job interview, because then after she was done coaching me, I was like, what you do at your company is like what I now kind of realize that I want to do with my life. But she will tell you this. She tells this story all the time. When they started their company, they didn't want any employees. And I was doing coaching in her house. Her and her husband had like their goals written on their wall. And like in black Sharpie, it said no employees, like caps underlined, like, so I'm like, loud and clear, I understand. But I asked anyways, because I was just like, I really want to work for you. Like, I really like what you do. I really align with this. And I really want to be able to work on company culture and developing leaders. And so they took the risk of no employees, and I was their first employee, and I've been at the Perk ever since. So just really got to learn a lot from doing it on the job and learning from Leah. But yeah, none of us here are really classically trained, I guess. Spoiler for Emily's introduction as to how she got to where she is with us. But that's why I love our team, because we all have different perspectives and different backgrounds that we bring to what we do.
That's awesome. Yeah. What about you, Emily?
Yeah, so kind of, I'm going off of that. I went to school for organizational and professional communication with a minor in business. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just cast the widest net I could think of and then dive in from there. So through internships, I ended up kind of in the marketing world that I really enjoyed. And similar to Steph, I enjoyed what I was doing, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do forever. And so I actually signed up for something called Dream Coaching. It's offered here in the area where I'm from, and it was a free event that actually Steph and Leah were putting on. And so, as I was talking about things that I was really interested in my role and what I really enjoyed, I was like, I don't even know if this is a real role. Leah messaged me and she's like, yes, we do what you like to do. Come talk to us. So that was really how I had the introduction, and then learning more about the work that they do. I'm like, this is absolutely the world that I'm supposed to be in. So I made that shift. And yeah, just like Steph said, really learning a lot on the job, asking so many questions every day, wanting to learn more and really push my skills and just learn from the people around you.
That's awesome. Well, one of you talk a little bit about the Perk and like, what it is and, what you guys do and offer.
So what we do at the Perk, we do team coaching and training and development. So really what we're trying to do is focus on the skills that leaders need now to effectively lead their teams now and going forward. We've just found that, leadership development has changed in the past 5 years, honestly, like 3 years. It's different than it was last year. So we really focus on 3 main skills that leaders need, which is coaching, communication, and employee well-being. So we do team coaching, we do one-on-one coaching, but everything that we do, workshops, really bubbles up to those skills, because that's what we've found in working with our clients and in the research that we've done, that those skills of coaching, communication, employee well-being are just so needed right now.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think too, as a leader, I think I can kind of speak, from my own experience, is that a lot of times you just get so caught up in just getting things done and trying to manage the day to day. And you really care about your employees and you care about, their well-being, but a lot of times you just don't have the bandwidth to, like take time out to focus on, how you can continue to develop them or make sure that your, working environment is enjoyable and that the culture's defined and growing and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely think that, that's something that is needed, because a lot of times, right, we start businesses and you just kind of grow overnight and you don't think about it. And so there's a lot of times there's just that gap in knowledge of like, all right, like what is culture and how do I like develop it and grow it and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool that there's something out there that people can kind of connect with and maybe get some guidance and direction on how to be a better leader and how to develop and grow a culture. Ben's really great at that. Ben is really good at culture development and all that. So I envy him.
Well, thanks, Mark. Well, part of my secret is actually hiring the Perk to help me, to be honest.
This podcast is not sponsored.
It's sponsored by the Perk. ChooseThePerk.com. So it's funny, actually, how we ended up meeting is I think you all reached out to us at one point about a website, and I ended up working with you guys. We did some messaging for you, did the website design. And the whole time I was thinking, this is so cool. Like, this is exactly what I need. And I was like, as I was writing the copy, I was like, I'm selling myself on this right now. And later when I actually went back to your website to be like, oh, like now that I think I'm kind of ready or need this, I read it. I was like, this is really good.
It is really good.
So it was mostly like, I loved how you guys packaged things up. You had some productized services and offerings that were actually really reasonable for small businesses to be able to get really high quality culture coaching and some actually really practical tools, which to me is always the best thing. You can talk theory all day long, but really what you need is, especially as small business owners, you need something practical that's actually going to make a difference in your business, like you guys said, now or very soon, right? So that's what really made me excited about working with you guys. And I know we worked together on culture design basically for our team, which is really awesome. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring you guys on is just to talk about culture, because I think it's something that's misunderstood a lot, and you all's approach specifically that makes it so practical, I wanted to share that with other people because I feel like it's something that a lot of people need. So maybe you guys could talk a little bit about what company culture is, because I think there's a lot of ideas out there, what it is, what it isn't. And I mean, what's your perspective on what company culture is?
Yeah, so I can jump in here and then Steph, you can add on. Culture's a big thing. It's a big word, and we use this word a lot, but it means something different to everybody. And so that's why it's so nebulous and it's really hard for some companies to really define what their culture is. We say that culture is the daily behaviors of you and your team, and just broken down, and that's exactly how your culture lives out. So getting really clear on what exact behaviors you want to see every single day from your employees, from your teammates when they show up and live out your culture day in and day out. Steph, what else am I missing with what we define for culture?
Yeah, no, I think that that's spot on. We like to talk about how the difference, like a lot of companies have core values, right? Which are really great. Sometimes you see them like posted on the wall. Sometimes you see them on people's websites. And when we're looking at core values like respect, fun, communication, those three words mean something different to me. They're going to mean something different to Emily. Like what I find fun probably isn't going to be the exact same thing as what Ben finds fun, right?
Right. Karaoke, or maybe not karaoke.
Yeah.
Maybe spike ball. Maybe
Unicycling,
I don't know.
right?
It could be
Or
anything.
Yeah,
Unicycling.
anything.
Exactly.
So why we focus on behaviors is because you're giving your team, you're giving your company a clear expectation for this is how we are successful here. So when we're talking about communication, maybe you want to narrow down that to being a specific behavior with communication that you're wanting to see from your team. So there's no guesswork involved of like, oh, I thought I was communicating in the way that you wanted me to. So we really narrow down on those and we hone in on those behaviors so that the definition is clear, so that it's not like up for interpretation. And then it just gives everybody like the common language to be able to talk together of here's what we're expecting of each other. Here's maybe where we're missing the mark. We can use this core behavior here with this client. So really honing in on the behaviors is just so important when it comes to culture.
At what point do you start thinking about this, right? Like, say you're a small, like run and gun shop and maybe you're thinking about hiring your first employee. Like do you need to be, 10, 15, 20 employees before you start like thinking about this, or like, can you do this for yourself? I mean, what does that look like as far as developing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, we have one of our clients before they hired anybody, they really wanted to be intentional with their culture because they'd experienced some bad ones. And so they were like, I want to be so intentional about my culture here. So they hired us to kind of help with their culture before they built their team. Culture exists whether you want it to or not, and it can exist between two people, it can exist between 15 people, 50 people, right? So I don't think it's really the number of people that you have where it really matters. I think it's the intentionality behind probably what you're doing, being able to tie it to your vision and your mission. So I would say the sooner that you can define your culture, the better. You're going to give your team guidelines, rules for engagement, ways to win, ways to be successful. And I find that when you do that from the beginning, you're just going to be more successful earlier on.
Yeah. And then what do you think? I mean, do you think there's like an audit that should take place from time to time to see, like, as you grow, like, do these things align with our current culture, or do we need to reevaluate what our culture should be? What does that look like?
Yeah. So I would say that culture is continuously changing. Every single person that you add to your team is going to change the culture a little bit. With some of our clients, when we work on these core behaviors that we're talking about, it's not something that you do one time and then put on the shelf. It is something that you're continuously visiting. It's something that you're continuously talking about with your team. And each time you bring up each core behavior and really dive into it, you adapt it, you talk about it, and you really hear what comes up for people. And you say, you know what, this is something that we used to do, but it doesn't really fit this team dynamic. But I love what you just said. Let's add this to the description. And so, yes, it is something that's continuously evolving. I love that you said the word an audit and kind of a check-in or a pulse check on what the team culture is now.
Could you guys give some examples? Because I think one of my favorite things about this is the practicality. Can you give examples of something that's like a core value and then what that looks like if it were a core behavior?
Yes. So let's stick with the example of like fun, right? So a core value might be fun. We like to have fun together. When we create a core behavior, one of the ones that we had done for a client, it was more around levity. So it was called Bring Levity. So with that, it's like the definition was around, there's no reason why we can't be like changing the world and working really hard and having fun. So bring levity into the relationships that you have, tell appropriate jokes, do cartwheels in the office, like giving people examples of how to live out that value. And so being able to really be specific in that. So you have like your core behavior, which is bring levity, and then you're going to have the descriptor underneath it. When we're working with clients, we want to use their language. And so for one of our clients, they literally said, like, I want people to be doing cartwheels in the office. So that's why we use that in the description, right? If that's what they want people to do, by all means, let's do it. Let's bring some levity and do some cartwheels. So we're really trying to speak to them in their language so that the team, the employees, are like, okay, yes, like I can see us in this because we talk about doing cartwheels in the office all the time. So really trying to get that language is important too, so that it's not just like copy and pasted over. It's really trying to get specific as to the language that your team uses and would be energized by.
All right, we're going to pause this conversation here. You go to thefridayhabit.com. There you can find show notes for this episode. There you can also find links to our websites and ways to get in touch. At the bottom of the page, you can download our guide to the Friday Habit system that will show you how to set aside one full day each week dedicated to working on your business instead of in your business. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear next week's episode, subscribe so you get notified. Also, leave us a review in Apple Podcast app or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you want to potentially be on one of our episodes with a question you ask us, go ahead and record a quick message in your phone, voice memo, and email it to hello@thefridayhabit.com. Until next time, live every day like it's Friday.